Today we're going to be changing out an evap coil on a TEM6 Trane unit. Unit's newer. It's got a leak in the evap coil. The customer threw it in heat. It's a heat pump. The high side lost some refrigerant, so we're here to change it out, get it fixed up, and I'm taking you guys with me.
Let's do it.
The compressor still works the way it should, so we're going to go ahead and pump this thing down, drop it in cooling, go outside and pump her down. Got a little rainy day today. It's not raining now, but it's sprinkling. Got the disconnect pulled so that when we turn this thing on, it should be running an AC so that we can pump the refrigerant down and contain it into the outside unit. Get to our valves here. Closing down our high side. But as we know, the suction from the suction in, and it's going to stack up behind this valve and contain it outside. So I like to get that to a point so that when I'm pumping it down, it's not too much to go. Now we'll have to hold this pressure switch in because, or have to hold this contactor in because of the pressure switch. Go ahead and disconnect back in. Hold that contactor in there. See the gauges starting to pump down. Alright, now we got the system pumped down, all the refrigerants contained in the outside unit. Anytime we open up the system, we have to replace the filter dryer. It's good practice even if the unit is only a year old. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that first. Got our new bi-flow dryer here. Get it fit in. This side's gonna be nicely fit, but this side here, I could tell they barely had that copper in there, so I'm gonna have to heat this up and push it on there. I need to worry about keeping this side cool here, so I'm gonna get a wet rag on it. wrapped up there. Now since there's tension on there, when I heat this up, it should slide on there. You can see it just slipped in. Actually, you use the solder that's on that line. Get it sealed up there. I'll check those out. Alright, got our new biflow on. Alright, there she is. The aluminum coil. We're going to be changing that CXV out as well while we're in there. Just kind of start a refresh for this gentleman. Okay, so we're going to get the liquid line disconnected, the suction line disconnected, the drain line disconnected, and then we've got a couple clips to take out that retain this evaporator coil in this air handler. And then we'll pull it out, get the new one put in. We've got the new one sitting here next to me with the TXV. But I want to show you guys something, a little trick that I was taught from the guy who trained me plenty of years ago. You take your pliers and you just go around this glue joint and you squeeze it. It takes practice because you got to have the perfect squeeze. And I think I already heard the initial crack. There's another one. There's another one. I'm pretty sure that's all of it. So look at that. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. Pop a glue joint. You don't have to cut it again and put another coupling in. You just pop the glue joint inside that PVC. And look at that. It's already disconnected. Got a low voltage junction right here. At least they've left some slack in there, so I can put that to the side. It won't be in the way of my coil. Looks like they've got a nice little glue joint going on here. I hate to mess this up, but I don't have any of this fancy stuff in my truck right now. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make my cut. And there's that. Good old Klein Tools pocket knife. So this one here, as you can see, this bend comes out and gets in my way. So I'm going to cut it back a little bit more. I'll probably end up cutting it here, unsweating it here, and taking the whole piece and putting the whole piece back in. You can see that's what they did. So I'll be unsweating it here and putting it back the same way it is. Alright, let me get this liquid line sweat out, or unsweat. This suction line, normally would cut it past the bell, sand it down a little bit, and that'll go right back into the new coil. Well, we got his smoke alarm trying to go off. You can hear that, but I think he needs to change his batteries like 5 years ago. Yeah, so normally I would leave the blower running while I'm doing this. I turned it off for the video so you guys could hear me. But if you keep that blower running, it keeps the air circulated right here, and that you won't have to deal with that smoke alarm going off like that. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get this suction line unsweated. I'm not going to cut it, I'm going to go ahead and just unsweat it. Makes it a little bit easier for me, in my opinion. You see a little bit of solder dripped off, hit my thing and dripped into the water. And it's safe. All these couplings on this liquid line is unnecessary. You can bend this 3/8 so easily. And just straighten it up, get it out of the way. The suction line, I'm going to unsweat it from here. I could cut it here and put another coupling, but I'm not a fan of all these couplings, so I'm going to unsweat it here and just put the whole piece back in when I'm done. Alright, we got the suction unsweat, liquid line out the way. Everything's disconnected, the drain's disconnected. I'm going to take this coil out after taking these retainers in to retain the coil inside the air handler. Alright, let's get these clips off of here. Just 2 5/16. So get those out, the screws to the side. These come right out of there. Lift right up and out. And now we can take this coil. Now you gotta remember, this is still kind of hot. Actually, it's pretty cool, but there it is. Keep it kind of level on your way out. It keeps the drain, the water that's in the drain, from coming out and pouring all over the customer's floor. So stick this thing right outside. And I'm gonna need this drain, so I'm gonna go ahead and untwist it. And I knew that was gonna happen. So I'll just go ahead and put all new fittings from here on out on the new coil and call that a day, because if I tweak this anymore, Trane may start to ask questions. There she is, brand spanking new. Alright, so we got the new coil in. I put the new TXV on. New TXV right here. Comes with all new seals and what you have. It's so you really want to have two crescent wrenches for this. I must have lost my crescent wrench on one of my calls yesterday, so I'm going to be using some channel locks, which will work just fine. Alright, still got pressure behind it. Good sign for me. Lets me know that this one held pressure from the factory. Got our new valve here. Kind of move things out the way. Get it set up here. That'll do it. I'm going to cut this zip tie. They give you new ones, so you cut it off, start fresh. Alright, so we got our insulation for our sensing bulb. We'll remount the sensing bulb. We got to insulate it. Some more zip ties. Some warranty paper you can fill out. And the most important thing here is these seals. See, this down in here has a spot that retains the seal. And the same thing for the other side. So I like to pull this out to where I can see. Slip that inside of there. You don't want to cross thread it, so you want to take it easy. Get it nice and hand tight. And I always twist it back about halfway because it's about how much it's going to move when you go to tighten it up. That'll do it there. About a half a turn on those seals. You can see it left it straightened out. I don't know what's up with Trane and why they send these coils like this, but you have to bend these cap tubes so you can get it in a good spot where it's supposed to land at. If you just put it in, it's gonna land in the wrong spot. So I like to route them all in the same general area. It's aluminum, so you do have to be kind of careful with it, and maybe that's why they don't do it for you. They don't want to mess anything up. So since we're going to be soldering on that suction line, I'm going to leave the sensing bulb off. Here's the sensing bulb here for the TXV. You don't want to get it too hot, but before I put the little panel on, the cover panel for the lines and drain line, I'm going to go ahead and put my equalizing tube on. Okay. This is going to be a flare fitting, so you want to match that flare up the best you can before you start hand tightening this fitting here. Flare fitting. Alright, so now it's hand tightened. We know it's not cross threaded. Give it a good turn. Same thing with this one. You don't want to over tighten this too much. You could cause that flare to unflare itself pretty much. That's pretty good there. Smushes that copper down to that flare. Gets it almost like a compression fitting. Alright, so we got all that in. We put our clips in. Clips go back in like so. Just let them sit there till you get your drill. Because I wasn't ready. He wasn't ready. He wasn't ready. Okay, so the piece we took off to put the valve on, we're going to be putting on the other side of this TXV. Now they do have a sealed gasket already in here, but I like to use the one that's provided. So take that one out, put the blue one in. I want to say it's a different material, more updated material, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I'm going to get this threaded on here, hand tight. I don't know why this is bent, but it is. Must have been from factory. I'm gonna push that up about a quarter of a turn, so when I tighten it down, it spins with it. course. It didn't spin with it. Get that nice and straight. Nice and snug. You don't want to over tighten that, because you got to remember, when you tighten it on, it's pushing in that gasket. If you over tighten it, you're going to smush that gasket, it'll leak. Alright, so I got it to about where I want to be. I'm going to go ahead and put this where it needs to be. And that's upside down. Alright. And when you reroute this, you need to understand that these are going to sweat. Because it's just got done flashing the refrigerant. These are going to be cold and sweat. So they need to be retained past this drain pan, because they're going to drip. Been to several calls where the filter's wet. And the filter gets wet because these are dripping and dripping onto the panel and making its way down there. It's important to leave that plastic on while you're doing this. You don't want any of that crap getting in there, contaminating the refrigerant. So I'm going to pop a screw here, keep this thing held on while I work on it. I can bend my liquid line back down. Easy does it. Don't want to crack that solder joint. Got our liquid line back in. I'll grab my suction line. Get it in there nice and snug. Alright, we got all those fitted together. Take some wet rags. Gonna stick them back here. Protect our TXV. New valve. The more the merrier. One for our suction line here. Now we're ready to solder. Solder these 2 joints in, 3 joints, sorry. And then we can get this thing on a vacuum. So we got our 3 joints in, our suction, liquid, and our joint down there. We're ready to put this thing on a vacuum. You could pressure test it. I don't normally do that because I normally don't leave leaks. I'm gonna check it with my my mirror, and got pretty good vision. If there's a leak, I'd see it. If not, I'm gonna go straight to the vacuum and start working on the microns. The micron gauge will tell me if I have a leak or not. As far as like in the system, I highly doubt it'd be for my joints, and take it from there. But Rags kept the valve nice and cool while we did that. Some new Armor Flex for this thing here.